Hi, my name is Amanda, and this is Sarah, and we are in Adolescent Literature with Dr. Shannon, and today we are going to be discussing Perks of Being a Wallflower. We're going to be comparing the book and the movie for our video blog. So, let's get started.
Okay, the one interesting thing we really liked about the book was that the author, Stephen Chbosky, actually wrote the book and then he directed and wrote the screenplay for the movie. And we found it really interesting because, well, it follows the movie follows the book really well. There were a couple parts that we noticed happened in the beginning of the novel but happened at the end of the movie. And a couple examples are the boyfriend hitting the sister happens at the end of the movie, at the beginning of the book, and then also when Bill and Charlie are talking. Bill is the English teacher that Charlie has this year, and Charlie's asking him why people date the wrong people, and Bill tells him, Charlie, we accept the love we think we deserve. And I actually liked that that happens at the end of the movie, just because of everything we see in the movie. But it also works really well in the beginning of the novel because of everything that happens afterwards in the novel. It's like, it's kind of always in your head.
Yeah, the relationship between Charlie and his sister is definitely more complex in the book. You don't really see a whole lot of it in the movie.
Yeah.
So the fact that he did it in the beginning, I think, is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to see what he changed in the book and the movie, because as the writer and director of both, he has the unique opportunity to kind of change things that maybe he wanted to change in the book but never got the chance to. So it's kind of cool to see that. But I think it was definitely more powerful in the book to have it in the beginning. Yeah. So another thing that we had talked about were the characters and like their roles in the book versus the movie. So one example was Mary Elizabeth.
And I really felt like in the movie we could see their relationship more so than in the book. Like it was like Charlie's opinion, and really in the book it's just, oh, she's so annoying and how did I end up in a relationship with her?
Yeah, but in the movie you get to see the character of Mary Elizabeth and see like how she talked all the time, all about herself.
You really get that image, and it's like you just see her character develop a little more.
Yeah, definitely. And then what about Sam? I think Sam was Sam's role in the book and the movie, they were pretty, I think, different. Like just in terms of like you said, like it's different in the movie because we get like
everyone's perspective, and you can kind of see how their emotions play out. Because I mean, in the book it's just Charlie's.
Yeah. So it's all one-sided, all Charlie. Oh my gosh, he's so in love with Sam. And I think in the book you saw that a lot more, like how in love with her he actually was, because you could hear his thoughts and things like that.
See, at the same time, it's like I didn't really pick up. Like to me, it was more just like, oh, an infatuation, like first crush thing. But in the movie, I felt like he really loved her a whole lot more. And I don't know if it's like just visualize it.
Probably.
But it just seemed to come across more to me in the movie than in the book.
Yeah, and it's cool that like we both read the exact same thing and saw the exact same movies, and we get different things out of it. So that's cool, things like that that we can talk about. Now, another thing that was definitely prevalent was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, I've never seen it. Have you ever seen it?
I've never actually seen it.
I've heard plenty of things about it.
It's pretty interesting, but it's like, my one thing about it was it's like, in the movie, I felt like it was one of the main settings, because like, it just felt like any activity that really happened between Charlie and Sam and Patrick's whole group of friends happened at Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
But in the book, it's like, not so much of a big deal.
Like, if you think about the scene where Charlie takes over and he plays the main character that Sam's boyfriend played, like, in the movie it was this big production, it was like a big deal, and in the book
huge celebration.
Exactly. And in the book it was like he couldn't get over it fast enough just because he wasn't, like, secure in himself yet to do that.
It was like, yeah, I played the lead role, but, you know, Sam and Patrick were really good.
Yeah.
Like, no big deal that I took over the lead role and I hadn't ever rehearsed it. I just kind of got thrown into it.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't as sexual in the book, like when he had to grab Sam.
Yeah, he was like, I just don't want to talk about doing that because it's disrespectful.
But in the movie, you saw everything, and just like, and then in the movie, Sam actually like jumped into Charlie's hands so that like it would fulfill the role of the character. So that was cool, and it was neat to like see all that played out on screen.
I know. I just thought it was really cool because it's like you really see their development as a group at these Rocky Horror Picture Shows, but you don't see it in the book, and it was just, you know, I saw the movie first.
Yeah, I did too.
So it's like, I don't know if it's like it's like it's been a couple years since I've seen it, but it's like I just remember some of these things as being like really prevalent in the movie.
And I think like Charlie grew the most in those scenes in the movie. I feel like
because it's like you really see him growing out of his shell a little bit.
Yeah, and like Bill wanted him to do things, get out there. But in the book, he doesn't consider Rocky Horror to be one of the things that he does to participate in society.
I know.
And that's like one of the main things. So that was pretty cool. So next we have Charlie in the book versus the movie. So one thing that we had talked about was how like Charlie is definitely he seems more naive in the book. And more emotional.
See, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, I still can't find the word to describe it because it's not like he's slow, but I don't know if it just like I can't. I know that's not the word I want to use, but like I can't find.
He's socially awkward.
But it comes across as making him appear like mentally slower, but it's not, and I don't know if it's just because of how the book's written as you're just getting someone's thoughts. They're kind of they're jumbled, disordered thoughts, and so I don't know if that's it, but it's like, slow's not the word I want to use.
Right, but I definitely did not get that same opinion of Charlie from the movie. Like, in the movie, he was more put together, like, he didn't cry at all in the movie, except for, like, the scene with Aunt Helen, and he was remembering her. He did cry then, but, like, he didn't cry because he was embarrassed.
But it was like he seemed to cry a whole bunch more in the book.
Definitely, and most of the stuff in the book was because, like, he was embarrassed about something that happened, he was just oversensitive.
Or he felt out of control, and it was like all he could do was cry.
Right, but in the movie there was none of that. So that was interesting to see Chbosky, like, play off of that, and that was completely different.
And I don't know if it's maybe just because, visually speaking, having a character playing this role, it's like maybe he just didn't want to be seen as some weak little boy. He may have wanted to seem a little more in control of his emotions and stuff, and maybe that's why they didn't do the crying as much. Or maybe they just felt that we don't need to have all these crying scenes and stuff.
Yeah, I think, like, you could still get the basis of Charlie's character from the movie, even though he wasn't as emotional. Like, the emotion of Charlie in the book made his character, I think.
I feel like he was just this very depressed boy who just didn't know how to handle growing up into being a teenager and having all of these emotions that come with being a teenager. Because, I mean, before he even got to high school, like, even as a young boy, like, he had some serious issues and stuff. That it's like, I think just adding on the social pressures of being a young adult just was way more than he can handle. Yeah, so that, like I said, that was a pretty big contrast. And then, he seems pretty naive in the book. Like, he has no idea which way's up when it comes to sex he has
and
no
drugs
idea how to handle girls.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's hanging out with all these senior girls really doesn't help.
No.
Especially because it seems like most of them have had quite a bit of sexual experience.
Yeah, and everything just goes right over to his head.
She has no idea what to do, especially when it comes to Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah, no, he's like asking other people for advice, like, and he does in the book too. Like, he's not like 100% sure, but it's just like no idea, nothing registers.
It's kind of funny in a way because it's like, how is this boy so naive?
Yeah.
Especially because it's like his brother's some star football player and his sister's not exactly the Virgin Mary or anything. I mean, he literally walks in on his sister and her boyfriend having sex.
Yeah, which doesn't happen in the movie, I don't think.
I can't remember if it happens. It might just be that they're making out or something in the movie. But it was like, for someone... No!